Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with something a little different today, a TBR video, which I don't normally do, but this is for a special occasion. Sunday will be September 1st, and that marks the beginning of the annual Readers Imbibing Peril, or R.I.P challenge. This is an annual event. It's been going on for 19 years. This is the 19th year. It began in the book blogging world with like a whole structure around it. It has evolved to something that is hosted now on Instagram. And there's no sign up. There's nothing you have to do except read books with darker themes for the fall. So it runs September 1st to October 30th. I love this and participate every year because this works perfectly for me. I love the fall. It's my favorite season. I love reading darker stuff during the fall. And darker stuff is defined pretty broadly for this event. Mysteries, thrillers, ghost stories, certain kinds of fantasy or science fiction, anything with a slightly darker theme, even cozy mysteries count if you're a scaredy cat, no problem. Oh, and horror, of course. So wide range of different kinds of books, but all a little darker to fit the feel of the season, both the cooler weather and, of course, the season leading up to Halloween. This works perfectly for me every year because I am just finishing up Big Book Summer, which ends September 2nd. And so I've had a whole summer of reading long, more than 400-page books with lots of depth. And now I love this switch with fall into fast-paced, gripping narratives. Now, some of my big books read this summer were also gripping, but you know what I mean. It's many of these books are shorter, they're fast-paced. It's just a nice change of pace along with the change of season. So I have to leave for a doctor's appointment in about 12 minutes. So I am going to just very quickly briefly review some of the many possibilities from my shelves that will work for the R.I.P challenge this season. I will not get through all of these. Consider this a pile of possibilities, but I wanted to share with you some of what I hope to read. Okay, The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin has been sitting on my shelf since my son read it in middle school. He is now 26 years old. This is the son that does not like to read. He's a good reader. He always scored very highly in language arts, but he just doesn't enjoy it. I know. He is our son. Believe me, he looks just like me, so it's definitely him. But when he had to read this for school, he loved it. And I know it's a classic mystery, and I've wanted to read it for a long time. I'm going to get to it this fall. This is a book I actually started already back in April, 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart and Other Stories by Jenna Rose Nethercott. She was an author at Booktopia in Vermont this spring, and I loved hearing her talk. She is a very vibrant speaker. It was really fun to listen to her talk, and she read some of the stories here. I read, I think, the first 3 before Booktopia, but it is kind of fairy tale, fantasy, some horror, and so I thought it would be perfect to save for the fall. I mentioned to my family last year that I had never read anything by Richard Russo and really wanted to. My son said he picked this one out for me specifically because it's described as introduces a new level of suspense and menace that will quicken the reader's heartbeat throughout this absorbing saga. So I'm looking forward to reading that. My husband got me this one for Christmas or my birthday. It's been on my shelf for a while now. It is, as you can probably tell from the cover and the title, it is time travel, which I love. It's set in New Orleans, which I also love. I used to live there, love New Orleans. So this is a medical student who goes back through time accidentally to 19th century New Orleans. So sounds like there are some dark themes here, and I'm looking forward to that. Always love a time travel story. This fall, I am definitely going to finish The Last Policeman trilogy by Ben H. Winters. My husband and I love this author. He's finished the trilogy. I read the first two, The Last Policeman and Countdown City. So this is book 3, World of Trouble, and I definitely want to finish this this fall. It's been a great series about a policeman in, I think, New Hampshire, when the world is ending. There's an asteroid headed to Earth, as you can see in this one. It's getting close, and but he keeps up his work. He's always wanted to be a detective, and so he keeps up his police work even when everybody else leaves and leaves their life and kind of blows things off because the end of the world is coming. I gave this to my husband for his birthday last year, The Last Ranger by Peter Heller. We both really enjoy his outdoor thrillers, and we read The Guide, and what was the one before that? The River. But I also loved one of his early novels, Celine, which is also an outdoor thriller. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I love the way he writes about nature and at the same time weaves in a really gripping, tense story. I really want to read Iron Lake by William Kent Kruger. I'm a big fan of his standalone novels. They're on the shelf behind me. Oh, so are the Peter Heller novels. This is our favorites shelf. So I love his standalones. I have not read any of the Cork O'Connor series yet. This is book 1, another one I gave to my husband. Are you seeing a theme here? Yeah, I give him gifts that I can enjoy too. So that works out. And I want to see what the Cork O'Connor series is like. This is another book that I gave to my husband, I think last year in October for his birthday. November Road by Lou Berney. I had heard fabulous things about this. This is another one that, this one begins in New Orleans, and it's a road trip and a thriller. So it sounded perfect for him. He loved it. Stephen King has a blurb on the cover. It's one of his favorites. It won the Hammett Prize for Best Novel of the Year. So yeah, so road trip, New Orleans, thriller, sounds perfect. And I've heard it's got a good sense of humor too, so that's right up my alley. This is one my husband got for me, oh, so long ago. This is my problem. My books are just piling up. And the other reason why I like the R.I.P event every fall, because I can kind of tear through some fast-paced, shorter books that, you know, are really gripping and clear some space on my shelves. So The Blondes is a hilarious and whip-smart novel where an epidemic of a rabies-like disease is carried only by blonde women, all of whom must go to great lengths to conceal their blondness. So it's satire, thriller, literary. It sounds great. I am going to get to it. Okay, I've got a couple that have been sitting on my young adult, middle grade shelf since the days when the publishers still sent out hard copies instead of ebooks for review. So this one is Bad Girls Never Say Die by Jennifer Matthau. She is the author of the novel Moxie that was made into a movie that I really enjoyed. So that was part of what made me request this one. It is also, it's set in 1964, about a wannabe bad girl who gets into a tough situation. So that sounds great. And again, the good thing about, you know, fitting in a YA or middle grade book here and there is they're usually quick reads. Pieces and Players by Blue Balliet. I've read several of her novels and absolutely loved them. Always fun, twisty, puzzle-filled mysteries for middle grade readers. I read Hold Fast, maybe Chasing Vermeer. Many times her mysteries involved art, so this is one that's been on my shelf for a long time. Yeah, published in 2015, so I'm hoping to get to it this fall. Another YA novel, Lifers by M.A. Griffin. Fear is a prison where terror never stops. Yeah, so this is kind of like dark sci-fi where this teenager is looking for his missing friend and undercovers this secret scientific institute that is up to nefarious things. So looking forward to that. Okay, this one I am definitely reading this fall. This might even be my first one. Holly by Stephen King. I just gave it to my husband for Father's Day this year. We have both loved all the books featuring Holly, and he said this one was great, and I can't wait to dive in and get more Holly. So I mentioned The Last Policeman trilogy by Ben H. Winters. I've been buying my husband some of his standalone novels as well, and this one is really intriguing to me. I think this was another Father's Day gift this year. Big Time by Ben H. Winters. So this is science fiction where they've figured out how to steal someone's time. And so, yeah, I love science fiction thrillers. So this sounds right up my alley. A Ghost of Caribou by Alice Henderson is book 3 in her Alex Carter series about a wildlife biologist. I've really been enjoying her books. I've been reading one each fall season, and they are fast-paced, they're gripping, they are very intense thrillers. And again, as with Peter Heller, nature-based, set outdoors, so in the wilderness, looking forward to that. And finally, and there were so many more on my shelf I could have picked up, but The Prince of Las Vegas by Chris Bohjalian. This was a Booktopia book this year. I love Chris Bohjalian's novels, but his event at Booktopia was actually an add-on on Sunday. I just didn't have the stamina for that, and it was in the afternoon when I usually nap and I needed to drive us home. So I missed hearing him speak, but I've heard the book is great. My mom really enjoyed it, and it is a bit of a mystery thriller, so looking forward to that. Okay, so that is just a small subset of the many mysteries, thrillers, science fiction, and other sort of dark reads off of my shelves that I hope to get to. I know I won't get to all of them during September and October this year. I am just finishing up my last big book of the summer, and I can't wait to dive into these. What are your reading plans this fall? Please let me know in the comments down below.